Whenever you go through it, you never forget it.
Only on NBC 29, we're talking about deadly dangers on the railroad tracks. Tonight, a unique perspective through the eyes of the crew.
Only on NBC 29 tonight, a view most people never get to see will make you think twice, perhaps, before you cross a set of railroad tracks.
Engineers and conductors for Norfolk Southern are told to be prepared for deadly situations. NBC 29's Kristen Twyfer joins us live in studio to put us in their shoes.
That's right. Tonight, guys, we are going behind the scenes. These engineers and conductors are taking us along for a ride through Charlottesville and sharing heartbreaking stories in hopes of keeping people safe.
975 northbound, diverging approach signal.
Daryl, take off.
The blast of a train whistle. Clink of the bell. And the sight of an oncoming mass of metal are things we're all familiar with. But this is the view from the engine, the view of the crew.
But basically, I'm just making sure we get safely to point A to point B in a nutshell.
Our conductor, Curtis Powell, grew up on the tracks. His father was a train conductor, and he followed on the same rails.
And as a little kid, seeing what he did, doing what he did, kind of made me want to get into it as well.
When he came aboard 7 months ago, he heard the words Norfolk Southern says every new conductor has to hear. You can expect to kill 5 people in your career. In 2012, 12 people lost their lives on the tracks in Virginia alone. So far this year, 1 life has been lost in Albemarle County and 1 in Charlottesville. On the night of February 15, 2013, a train came through the stretch of tracks at less than 25 miles an hour. It was dark, and nothing could have prepared the crew on board for what happened next.
It will stay with me for a long time.
Our engineer, Daryl Willis, passed by Charlottesville's Amtrak station on track 1, just seconds before train 227 passed by on track 2.
I heard on the radio that 227 had hit a pedestrian who was lying in the track.
Charlottesville police say the crew put the train into emergency stop, but there was nothing they could do to save the 18-year-old University of Virginia student who had intentionally laid down on the tracks. Willis says the memory of that night still haunts him when he comes through Charlottesville.
If I had just seen the person, wandering around the track or attempting to lay down, if I just came through a little bit later, I would have saw him, trying to do that. And I could have called the other train and had them stop, or I could have called the police. I could have did something about it.
Norfolk Southern says crew members involved in tragic accidents can develop post-traumatic stress disorder and live with the memory of impact forever.
Whenever you go through it, you never forget it.
Foreman Curtis Brookshire has hit 3 people on the tracks in his 15-year career. Now he works with the nonprofit Operation Lifesaver, sharing crash videos like this with drivers and putting pedestrians in the shoes of the crew.
Fully loaded train at speed takes up to a mile to stop.
We teamed up with Brookshire to put UVA students to the test in a spot where they frequently cross the tracks illegally as a shortcut.
In this scale, 1 mile is about 33 feet. What I want you to do is walk toward the crossing like an engineer would with a train. Tell me when you see something and what you see.
Sarah Seo had just crossed the tracks wearing headphones when we challenged her to face the engineer's dilemma.
So now I see the car and a passenger, and a person in front of the car.
By the time she spotted the people in her path, it was far too late to stop her hypothetical train. She says next time she'll think twice about crossing here.
I was supposed to think twice about it anyway, so I'll think thrice about it now.
Back on the train, Powell and Willis watch helplessly as people like Seo cross the tracks. Have you ever seen anybody cross the tracks when they shouldn't?
Oh, almost every day.
They brace for the day they have to face their own engineer's dilemma and hope everyone will remember tragic accidents on the tracks affect victims, their families, and the people you rarely see behind the scenes.
I keep hoping and praying that it never happens.
Operation Lifesaver asks everyone to remember these tips for staying safe around the tracks. Never cross the tracks or walk along the tracks illegally. If your car gets stuck at a legal crossing, move away from the car and call for help. Don't fall back on your knowledge of the train schedules. They're always changing and a train could come at any time. Don't rely on track vibration to tell you when a train is coming. New technology means you can't always feel or hear a train coming. And don't stand or park your car too close to the tracks. A train is wider than the rails, and trespassing on railroad property is a Class 1 misdemeanor. It's punishable with a fine of up to $2,500 and of a year in jail as well.
And it sounds like you may be lucky if that's the only penalty you're paying.
That's exactly right, yeah, and it really does affect everyone who's on board the train, everyone on the tracks that night, and of course the victim and their families as well.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you, Kristen.